Hey, my name is Yolanda, and welcome to Frank Factualities, the podcast. Tune in each week as I speak frankly about life experiences from my perspective and offer you a bit of unsolicited advice. Let's take a little time to laugh, to think, and to cry as we tackle some serious topics and some not so serious topics. Be sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Hey, welcome to Frank Factualities, the podcast. My name is Yolanda. Thank you for tuning in to my show for another week and joining me for another episode. I hope all is well. I am doing just fine. My life woes, nothing much. I take that back. I have been spending a lot of money. So for the past, week or two? My son, he got a ticket. And I ain't spending money yet, but the money's coming. So that's like in the back of my head. We got band fees. And I knew senior year was going to be expensive. I did. It's not like I didn't know. But there were unexpected things. So I'm going to say 2 weeks ago, my daughter called saying, oh, my car is making this noise. I let her speak to my husband. And I think she had already spoken with her dad as well. And they told her it sounds like brake pads. Well, she was told that it was brake pads in the front and to put brake pads on the front, even though they said it didn't sound like she needed them on the front. For whatever reason, the people put the brake pads on the front. And she's just like, the noise is still there. And people were telling her it's probably the rotors. And then my husband was like, well, yeah, if you need brake pads, it's going to start metal to metal. So get some brake pads. So she goes to get brake pads for the back. And yes, that's what it was. And it's not squeaking or whatever noise it was making. But before all of that, before she called the dads, her stepdad and her actual father, she lives by a Firestone. And she went to ask like, hey, how much would it be for you all to put on brake pads? And them Negroes quoted her $800 to put on brake pads. Now, I ain't been around that long, but I promise you, I don't remember brake pads ever being that much. And I understand things have gotten expensive, but not that. That's one of those things that to me, because someone can just do it in their yard, it should not be that. Because even I understand things have gone up because of shipping costs and all this other stuff. But even the brake pads themselves are not going to cost more than $100. So why is it almost $800 to put on brake pads? Nonetheless, she found a Shade Tree mechanic. They came over, put the things on for $50, and she paid for brake pads for about $50, $100 at best. Fast forward to this prior weekend, my son calls me after he was at some little store. He was going shopping and let's back up. He called me on his way to the store. And he says, what does this light mean? Which I hate when he does that. He'll be trying to FaceTime me while driving and has the camera on instead of just realizing that while he's in the car before he pulls off. Nonetheless, he did that. I'm like, boy, hang the phone up. It looks like a battery light. Maybe you need a new battery. No big deal, right? Well, he gets from the store and then he calls me and says, oh, it's hard for me to turn my steering wheel. I say, well, then don't turn it. And leave the car there. Then he calls me and says, the car is shaking. I said, well, Gavin, just turn the car off. I'll call your dad and tell him he needs to come over there to you. So his dad goes over there. He tries to jump start the car. It won't keep a charge. So his dad is like, okay, it's the alternator. We realize like we've gotten so used to him driving. My husband has his own thing he does after school. I don't really do nothing, but I don't really want to go get him after school anymore. I've gotten used to being able to just come home instead of waiting at school until he gets out at 7 and I get off 4:30. So you're talking about staying at school from 4:30 to 7 or coming home and then going back out to pick him up. So I've gotten used to just being able to go home and do whatever I want. So I'm like, no, we got to get his car fixed this weekend. Now this happened on Saturday. I'm like, it's not many places that are open on Saturday and fewer, if not none, are open on Sunday, except for a Firestone. So we called the Firestone in Orangeburg this time. My daughter lives in a whole nother city. So they tell my husband to replace the alternator. It's going to be $800. Now, I ain't the brightest bulb or the sharpest knife. Why is it $800 for brake pads and $800 to replace the alternator? We talking about these are two totally separate things. It don't even matter the year of the car, the make of the car. Them two things should not be the same price. And it's the same company. So somebody's scamming. And that just teed me off because nobody has money for that. At the end of the day, the expectation is that you guys charge us fair market value for labor and parts. Now, my husband knows cars. Like, he knows enough to check it. He can change a tire. He can do all that. He'll tell you what's wrong with the car. But he is not under the car, fix the thing person. So I call my brother because my brother is a fix it. He's a handyman. So I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. I said, is $800 ridiculous? He's like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Now, to pay $800 for an alternator. He was like, I can put an alternator in. That's not a big deal as long as you get the alternator. So I said, oh, you can put an alternator in. He says yes. So we go get the alternator, which was it was $300 plus. And I think you can turn in the old alternator and then they give you I think 40 something dollars we got back. So still a lot, but not $800. And then we threw my brother a couple of dollars for putting it in. But come on, man. This is just ridiculous. Like, you don't have to jack up the prices. And for the people who think that trades don't pay money, think about what I just said. If you are anybody who just knows something about something, a little bit about a little bit, like my brother who can just put a little part in and fix you up. And I think it might have taken my brother, only reason why it took him a little longer is because of the gnats, he said, but it might have taken him an hour at best. 2, because he was having a little trouble with the belt. It kept not tightening up or something because you have to take some things off. But that is the hell of a hustle for you to be like, yeah, I got you, and can charge people a couple of dollars to just put in some labor. But if you are a man, you at least got to know something about a car or know how to do something. And I don't know what it is about my kids, but I don't know why they choose to call me. Now, they got daddies, and why you not calling your daddy? I don't know. If my car were to break down, I don't know nothing. I'm calling somebody because I can't tell you what's wrong with it. Shaky. I don't really have no idea. My son is driving the car that I used to have, and I promise you that car has never broken down on me, ever. This is the first time I've ever had to do anything under the hood outside of replace a battery in that car. I have never. So trust, it's a 2014. That car has served me well, okay, and is now serving my son well. So I wasn't tripping about having to get the alternator because it was a new car when I bought it. I was the only owner. I've never had any issues. It's a Camry. Y'all know Toyotas and Hondas are great. I have no issues with this. So it's not that, oh my God, it's always something with the car. It ain't always something. I ain't gonna tell no lie. Now my daughter's car, on the other hand, it's a newer car, 2020. I think it's like a Kia Forte or something. I think so. I don't remember. But anyway, it's the Kia. Child, now she gave the trouble with the cars. So, but me, I've never had it. So it wasn't a big deal. However, it just reminded me that my brother was laughing because he said that his homeboys' girlfriends will call him whenever they have car issues, and he feels like they do that and throw shade at their boyfriends. Like, why you can't do this? Why I got to call your homeboy to come help me when I got issues with the car and you can't do anything about it? So I say all that to say, if you got sons, teach them a little 1-2. Teach them enough to be able to look at least under the hood and be like, or to know sounds, to know like, yeah, that's your starter. Yeah, your battery dead. You're going to need to jump. Yeah, let me go ahead and take this tire off, put the other tire on. Little stuff. They ain't got to know how to take an alternator out and put another one back in. That's a bit, you know what I'm saying, much. Everybody's not handy. You know what I'm saying? I get that. But I expect you to know more than me. You get what I'm saying? And I think all women expect their man to know more than they do. So for us moms who have sons, because I know for a fact that my son could have just called his dad. Now I know why he don't call his daddy. His daddy be acting like he don't know. I don't like how he calls you so much. He ain't calling me because he think I know the answer. He calling because I always pick up. No shade to my husband, but even when I call, he always, oh, my phone was on vibrate. Oh, I didn't hear it. Whatever is whatever. So if he answered more consistently, then I'm pretty sure my son would call him, but he a hit and miss. You just never know. So anyway, I got a street talk today. But let's go ahead and get straight into street talk.
Yeah, what's going on? Let me know.
Under the same umbrella of dudes, okay? I have been watching Chrisean Rock and Blueface kind of get back together. You know, they're kind of revisiting seeing each other. They've been streaming together. They've been lovey-dovey. But he has another girl pregnant, some girl named Nevaeh. I don't know her, but I know she's pregnant by him. I think she used to be married to somebody and she has a child by her ex-husband or ex-boyfriend. I'm not quite certain. But what I noticed is that we all thought that it was Chrisean and that Chrisean was so toxic. And that was the reason why the two of them were having so many issues. But if you saw the video of Blueface and his interaction with Nevaeh, you would understand that that man has many, many issues because he is the same man with this girl Nevaeh that we have seen with Chrisean. So to me, it does not matter what woman he gets with, and they see him talk to that girl that way, and the way he demeans her and the way he gaslights her. And I don't like to use those, publicized, overused words, but it is the perfect example of it. And I'm not even going to call the man a narcissist. I think that he is very, very self-centered. I think he is full of himself. I think he feels like he's the best thing since sliced bread. I know that he has a dad in his life because we've seen his dad, but I just don't know what he saw growing up and how he was raised. But I promise you, he is not a stand-up man. And for any woman to allow that man to disrespect him and demean them so much for the love of the stream, it is just disgusting to me. And I don't know what parent will allow their daughter to have to deal with that type of disrespect from any man. He is gross to me in the way that he treats women. And that's just my opinion, and my 2 cents don't matter for nothing, but I just don't like it. It just makes me mad. Why get with these women to just call them stupid and to just be like, you're not making sense, to bring another woman to your baby mama's baby shower, to have somebody try to fight the girl. They fighting outside the baby shower. You cussing her out before she gets in the baby shower. She's like about to pop. And then next thing you know, you show up in the picture with her and with the baby. And then another video is like, oh, I love you. Oh, I love you too. I mean, it's bipolar. It's giving that. I'm not saying he is. I can't diagnose the man, but it's definitely giving bipolar. So in the vein of, I don't know who raised him, and in the vein of these little boys need to do better so that they know how to be men to these women. We as women complain so much about how these men aren't ready for relationships, how they don't commit, how they don't know how to do this, how they don't know how to do that. However, we ourselves have sons. And what are we doing for the next generation? Because we can't control or change the previous men we've dated, men our age. We don't have no control over that. But we have control, if you have boys, over the next generation and how we raise them and how they're going to be to the young ladies coming up. And so what are your contributions? Are you going to raise the same man that you can't stand? And I'm going to tell you now, we sickening about our boys. We call it mommy Buki sweetie, because that's what I say to my son. That's my little thing. Oh, mommy Buki sweetheart. And so around the house, my husband will be like, ain't nobody got time for that mommy Buki sweetie shit. And then my son will be like, Mom, come on with all that mommy Buki sweetie stuff. So that's just me loving on my son and remembering when he was just such a little boy and he was just really affectionate, because boys can be very affectionate towards their mothers. And we always want that. But not so much so that they become so dependent on us that they can't be independent men. Because one day some woman is going to want him to be able to make decisions and do things for himself. But if you are coddling him and you are the one that is making the decisions for him, and every little thing that he's doing and going through, he calls you to his rescue. Trust me, no woman is going to judge a man who says, I got to call my daddy for advice because I really don't know how I'm going to handle this situation. So let me see what my daddy say. I'm for real. Nowhere in the history of the world have we ever heard a woman complaining that he's a daddy's boy. I don't want to talk to him because he's a daddy's boy. You ain't never heard that. So all I'm saying is don't create these mama boys and then complain about them later when you yourself create in mama boys. We got to do better with these boys because we're just not raising them to be men. And then we judge the generation previous of us to say, y'all didn't do a good job, but I don't think we're doing a good job either. And that's when I say I'm talking about me too now, because I know there's some things that I need to pull back. But I do say to my son, call your daddy, or why you ain't call your daddy? And then I say, call your daddy, because with the same situation, I say, you need to call your daddy. And I said, I'm going to call your daddy and I'm going to tell him to come. So then y'all figure that out, because take me out of the equation, please. I don't need to be in it. So him and his father figured that out. Him His father, my brother, figured that out. They worked on it. I went out there and observed and look. I sent my son out there while my brother was fixing on the car. You need to go out there and you need to look and you need to pay attention and you need to see what he's doing. And guess what? No, the tire may not never go flat, but the man need to go out there and teach the boy how to take the tire off now and put the tire back on. You need to pop the hood and say, this is how you check your oil. This is where the oil go. This is where the windshield wiper fluid go. This is how you start a battery. Charge it, whatever the hell you call it. This is how you boost the car. You got to teach the boys that, and y'all got to let the men be the men. Listen, what I've learned. There are just certain things that we cannot teach a boy. And I know y'all hear that and we get mad so much. Like, what do you mean? And I'm not saying I haven't seen women raise some phenomenal boys. I'm telling you, I work in the school system. I can tell you that I've seen it. They be the most respectful, the most responsible men ever. You understand me? But there's always something that'll give away, and not with these boys from high school, because I'll never know. I'm not in, I don't know who they are and how they are in a relationship. But I can tell you that I know their mothers raised respectable, responsible, and intelligent boys. So I'm not saying that that's not possible, but I'm saying that they all need positive role models that are male in their life, because our mannerisms are not the same as men's mannerisms. The way we respond and react to things are not the same. And so if I was dealing with a conflict, and the way I would handle a conflict is definitely not the way my husband would handle conflict. Matter of fact, they don't even too much tolerate conflict or disrespect. And when they speak as a matter of fact. They speak very bluntly, and it's not a back and forth. We do that back and forth stuff. Well, if they say something to you, I don't know if you guys saw that video of the lady who was teaching her son how to clap back at a bully. If they say that your hair is this way, then you say that I like my hair. And if they say that this to you, then you say this. Men don't do that. Little boys don't do that. I'm not saying they're not going to Jones you and clown you, but they're more likely to say, all right, you say something else, I'm going to bust you in your face. You get what I'm saying? Keep on now. You got one more time. Because that they just don't do that back and forth, tit for tat, yang, 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 yang. That's we girls, we do that bickering, that back and forth, and y'all know it. I don't know why we play these games. You all have dealt with a man that had women mannerisms, that talk and respond and react like a woman, that makes you sometimes question their sexuality. And then you go, okay, he dates women. Why he act like an old lady? Why does he act like a woman? Because that's who raised them and that's how they grew up. You ever talk to a man and he sounds just like his mama, like his voice, his mannerisms, the way he say certain things, his colloquialisms, whatever it is. A lot of times that's just because that's all he's been around. So they need exposure to males. They need to interact with them. They need to know what they're doing, because at some point they got to be the leaders of their household. They got to be the one to make the decisions. And if you keep making them, then they're going to expect a woman to keep making them. You understand what I'm saying? Make him make the decisions. My son be making a decision about what we eat at night sometime. Why? Because what are we eating? And I go with whatever decision he makes. I want him to be comfortable in making decisions about it. And no, me and my husband are eating. It's a family thing, but we've been starting him a long time ago on, like, when we go to restaurants, you order, you speak up, you hold the door for your mama, you do these things. Like, my husband tells him all of these things. It was my husband who taught him how to wash the dishes. It was my husband who taught him how to wash his own clothes. I think we kind of share the responsibility in teaching him how to cook and prepare certain things. But at the end of the day, you got to do that with your boys. Teach them not to be nasty niggas. You know what I'm saying? So that a woman can go over to their place or their apartment and they not feel like, ew, that I'm going to catch BV after I leave. You know what I'm saying? And I hate that. I know you don't want to think about your little boys like that, but guess what? You had to deal with somebody's little boys at some point, and you was talking trash about them too. Same thing with your girls. I know we were talking about the boys, but let me just get a quick little insert. Teach your girls hygiene and how to handle and manage themselves as women. They don't know, y'all. And you don't want them to learn from some other girl who ain't got it together. You see what I'm saying? You don't want them to learn that. So back to our boys, same difference. You don't want them to learn certain things. Y'all didn't hear DJ Envy say that he ain't know he was supposed to open his butt cheeks and wipe his ass. His wife had to tell him that. Now, mind you, he been with that girl since, I think he said high school or maybe younger. But ain't nobody tell him he need to open his butt cheeks and wipe his ass. So whose responsibility is it to tell him that? It should have been his parents. Somebody should have had a conversation. My husband always tell him, hey, wash the back of your knee, nigga. Wash your underarm. Wash your belly button. Open your ass and clean it. And yes, he says it just like that. If anybody knows my husband, you know that's what he says. And he talks just like that. I mean, with a Geechee accent, but yes. You gotta tell them. If you don't tell them, they won't know. I make my son take his earrings out and clean them on a weekly basis. And if I forget, it might be 2 weeks, but take them goddamn earrings out and clean them things because your ear gonna be cruddy and nasty. Wash your hair. Clean your neck. My son got a skincare routine, not because, oh, he gonna be like, but because we got oily skin and the dirt piles up and I can see the dirt. Clean the dirt off of your face. Our skin is not one that you could just wash with face scrub and it not still be dirty. I literally have to go in with a witch hazel or I have to use some sort of astringent to pull the dirt out of my face. I promise y'all, I got a brush. I don't just wash my face with my hands, and I can wash my face and scrub 2-3 times. And if I take a cotton swab with astringent or some sort of witch hazel, you would still see dirt on it. That's just our skin. It is oily and it is greasy and it traps dirt like ain't nobody business. He has my same skin. So because I know that, I buy him his blue astringent and I buy him his cotton swabs. And every time he washes his face, he knows you need to go in with the blue astringent on your face and neck so you can clean it. Now, he probably need to do his whole body, but ain't nobody using astringent on their whole body. But bought him a long brush, and I want to get that African net, but we wasn't raised up like that. I know people be using loofahs and all that, but we just use rags, you know what I'm saying? But I did buy one of them long handle brushes so that he can actually exfoliate his skin every so often whenever I feel like, okay, you need to go ahead and just get some of that build up dirt that you probably aren't getting with a rag. He knows that he needs more than one rag to clean himself. And he has more than one rag. So he don't wash his ass with the same rag he washes his face. But again, if you're not having these conversations, your son is not going to know. The only thing I'm trying to get my son to know now is stop letting them little girls chase you. You need to be the chaser. You letting them little girls come up to you and you entertaining the ones that want to entertain you. And he's lazy dating. He's not going after no girl. And he don't feel like, okay, well, I ain't working hard. If they already checking for me and homegirls are being like, my friend want to talk to you. She want me to hook you up, and you just letting it happen. And those are the girls you entertain. You'll never get what you want. I was like, you need to go for what you feel like you want to go for and not just accepting what falls in your lap. And that's the only thing we working on. And when I say we, his daddy speaks to him from a male perspective, which is a whole nother conversation that I don't even want to hear half of the time. And I talk to him from a female perspective of like, hey, you putting your, you know what, in the dirt, because you talking to all of these girls that girls are going to look at and be like, okay, why is he talking to her? Blah, blah, blah. They're going to judge you by the woman that they see you with. That's just reality. That's what we do. If they see you with a certain type of female all the time, then they're going to think that's your type, and they're going to judge you based on the type of woman you've been dating and seeing. So, because why? I'm a female and I know that that's what we do. Regardless of whether or not that's my son, I'm going to tell him the truth. I've taught him to never lie to a girl. I don't care who cry. Don't lie. If you know you don't want to be in a relationship, you need to say that immediately and always remind them, hey, we're not in a relationship, and don't expect them to do something you're not willing to do. So if you aren't going to stop talking to people, don't expect them to stop talking to people. You understand? Don't have no unrealistic expectations for them, and then you expect to just do whatever you want to do. Oh, I can talk to whoever I want to talk to, but you can't talk to nobody else. No, it's free game. All right. Whatever you doing, she can do, especially if that's not your girl. Don't let no girl talk to you any type of way crazy. That's not your girl. You're not in a relationship. What you up on the phone 2-3 o'clock in the morning for, arguing with some girl that you ain't even in a relationship with? It makes absolutely no sense. But I got to stay in his business to do that. So don't let your kids raise themselves, your boys, your girls, whomever. You need to be in a business. You need to know who they talking to, how they talking to them, what type of things that they're doing. Because promise you, I can't tell all the churn business, but when I tell you them churn be getting into some things, you understand what I'm saying? Some grown people things, and it is not like our times, okay? It's proof nowadays. They got cameras, they got videos and pictures, and they sharing and they uploading and they doing all kind of shenanigans, okay? You need to be knowing what's going on with your children, and you need to be talking to them about these things, because mine is going off to college. He will tell you he can't stand it. Every time something happens, I'm like, you need to pick up these clothes out of the room, because you can't be nasty when you go to college and you got a roommate. Everything I relate back to going to college and having a roommate, because you're going to have to share space with somebody at some point. And you don't want people talking about you, that you the nasty person. Mm-mm. If I'm lying, I'm flying. We was in a faculty meeting today, and they had to talk to us about the faculty bathrooms and how people don't know how to dispose of their hygiene products properly, how to close the toilet down on them, how to dispose of them, and how to flush the toilet, and how not to tinkle on the seat. At the end of the day, we all weren't raised the same. We all don't see certain things as nasty, clean, dirty, or whatever. I don't like clutter. I can't say that I'm the cleanest of people. I'm not sure I'm at to scrub baseboards every time I clean the house on the weekend. I'm not sure all the windows have been cleaned and wiped. That's not me. But I am don't have all the stuff on the floor. I don't want to see things everywhere. You get what I'm saying? So put your stuff away. I want to be able to walk on the floor. I'm a minimalist person. I don't want to see nothing. Everything just needs to be in its place and clean. You get what I'm saying? But no, I'm not like, I can't say that I'm a neat freak by no means. I know somebody who used to make sure everything in their refrigerator was positioned a certain way. So everything had to be face forwarding. Everything had its spot. And if you didn't put the thing back in the spot where the spot was, then it was a problem. Same thing with the cabinets. Everything was organized, color coordinated, or by whatever the product was. And the labels had to be face forward. A little bit too much, okay, because somebody comes over to your house and you always put your luggage here, but because somebody left their luggage this place and left the luggage open and lived out of the luggage while they were at your house for a few days, that bothered you and you considered it nasty just because, oh, well, I always put my luggage away, or I take all of my clothes out and put it in the drawer. So I went on I feel like that was a run-on sentence. Boy, I was talking fast. Boy, that thing just kept going. And I was like, I should have paused on that. But anyway, I was on what was it? It was a work conference, and I had to share a room this time. Normally we don't have to, but in this case we did. And I realized my coworker, she took all of her clothes out of the luggage, and then she folded clothes and put them in the drawers that the hotel has. I have never in my life, half of the time, I don't want my clothes to go in them, because it been a million people in this hotel, and I don't care how much Lysol I spray. In my mind, these people dust mites. It's not mine. And the idea that my clothes are going to smell like somebody else's space, it just irks me. And it's the same thing. If I think too long about a thing, it's going to gross me out. So you mean to tell me millions of people done slept on this bed? You mean to tell me I don't know how many people been on these sheets and all you did was wash them in your washing machine and with whatever stuff you use, and I don't know what that is? You ain't put no Lysol stuff in there to sanitize this stuff? Like, it will bother me. I definitely ain't washing with your wash rags, and I for damn sure ain't drying off with your towel. Now, I ain't gonna say I ain't never forget a towel, but I promise you I will pat dry and scrubbing myself with that. But now I just take my own towel, my own washcloth, and I am definitely not, because think about it now. Y'all know when y'all wash our own towels, especially us black people, it may not even be pubes. I'm not saying it's pubes. It could just be your hair on your head. But them little hairs, because we have curly hair, will wrap around one of them threads in the towel and they won't let go. And then now you around here trying to wipe your face off with the towel, and you look down and you see this piece of curl up hair on the towel. Imagine being at a hotel and that happened to you. Who the fuck hair is this? And I don't care that it been in the washing machine. This is nasty. You know what I'm saying? And I can't stand hair in the bathroom. That's a ick for me. Hair in the bathroom, hair. I don't care what kind of hair it is. I don't like hair on the floor. I don't like hair in the sink. It's just, it doesn't say clean to me. But you got to sweep this up. And even if you don't see anything, just sweep it, because it's there. So anyway, I done got on a tangent, and I don't know how I got on the hair, and I don't know how I got on the, I don't know how I got on the hotel. Oh, I was talking about the different ways and people were raised and how they do certain things. So all I'm saying is that you know what's clean and what's not clean. Teach your children that. You know the way that they should behave and how they should treat a woman, how they should carry themselves. Teach them that. Don't just assume because they are 17, 16, 18 that they know. Nobody taught me how to shave. I had to teach myself. Like, I think once I got maybe like 20 or something, maybe 19, I don't remember, 19, 20, I was like, oh, girl, shave. Oh, well, let me shave my legs. But I was bushy down to the socks. Okay. Because no, my mama didn't do that. My mama didn't shave. She never said anything. And it took an older guy that I was talking to, and I was of age this time, y'all. I know I done told y'all 50 million stories about me being underage with grown men. But them grown men, when I was super, super young, didn't care about no bush. I know that's gross, but I'm just saying. And as I got older, I was dating this older guy, and I was like, I might have been like 22. Anyway, so yeah, at this point, I would shave down like low. I would even do the landing strip sometime, but I never like ball greasy. You know what I'm saying? Never. So he was just like, yo, you don't ever shave? You don't go? He was like, you want me to do it for you? And I was like, no, I'll do it for myself. So I started doing it, and it wasn't bad. You know what I'm saying? But I understood, it was like, oh, okay, so I can shave this too. I always shave my underarms. But again, that took me a while. I would just shave it down, not like completely bald. Same thing with my legs, because nobody ever said anything. But it took a while to get that, because it just wasn't something that people said that was gross or that I needed to do. And who knows how many people were talking about me. Girl, her legs is super hairy. So I don't know. Just teach your kids the things that it took you forever to know. Don't expect that they're just going to know these things. They're always going to be growing, evolving, and they will always need us in some capacity, because they're going to be experiencing things that they've never experienced before, because frankly, the fact of the matter is they have to go where we've already been. And so why not tell them the things that you wish somebody would have told you? That's what we're here for. We're not here to just dictate to them, I don't want you to do that. You can do this, but you can't do that. No, it's to teach them so that they can be independent one day, so that one day they can raise their own family, and they can be a husband or a wife to somebody, and that they can be a mother to some kids. If you don't teach them how to do that, well, because the school don't do that. I know y'all think the school do. No. Those things aren't taught at the school. We know, we can tell by the bathrooms that everybody don't operate the same way. Okay. One last story, and I'm gonna let y'all go. I remember working with a lady that told me that her husband was such a penny pincher that she could not flush the toilet. That if it was a number one, it stayed up, and number two, you could flush it down. It was a little saying, and I don't remember it. But for number ones, meaning if she had to pee, she had to leave the pee in there. They never flush pee. They would just pee and pee and pee until it was time to poop, and then you could flush it. Now, I ain't never seen nobody that is that much of a penny pincher, but we've seen those extreme shows. All I'm saying is I couldn't do it. Then this ain't gonna work, sir, because I'm flushing every time, and I'm not gonna penny pinch that much. Okay, I'll just pay the light bill. Okay, just so that I can flush the toilet, because this right here ain't working. All right, I'll pay the lights and the water and whatever else so that you can get off of my back about that. And so he would literally monitor her by the penny for things that she would buy, purchase, whatever. So anyway, don't assume that everybody doing things the same way, or that everybody knows what they should be doing. Teach them churn, okay? And until next week, y'all, I'll holla. Bye.